President Joe Biden's administration is seeking to test its sanctions against Russia, giving Congress the power to block any attempt to weaken and crack down on key elements of Moscow's war machine. Under the measures announced Wednesday by the U.S. Treasury, about 100 entities in the financial, energy, and defense sectors will be included in a list of unusual sanctions legislation that requires Congress to have 30 days to review any removals from the list. The entities involved range from military bodies such as the Tactical Missile Corporation, which makes weapons, to the Moscow Stock Exchange, a major financial exchange. The new authority will give lawmakers the opportunity to thwart any efforts by the new White House to undo the Biden administration's efforts to weaken Russia's military-industrial complex. If both houses of Congress pass a measure of disapproval, the repeal could be blocked. European allies are also reviewing the Biden-era sanctions and trade measures to assess the potential impact of a rollback by Donald Trump. The new legal basis for these lists will also reduce the new administration's room to maneuver to avoid implementing existing measures by imposing mandatory secondary sanctions on companies that knowingly facilitate significant transactions for or on behalf of one of these entities. Today's actions will impede the Kremlin's ability to circumvent our sanctions and gain access to the goods it needs to produce the weapons for its chosen war in Ukraine, said Deputy Treasury Secretary Wally Adeyemo. Today's expansion of mandatory secondary sanctions will reduce Russia's access to revenues and assets. A senior U.S. Treasury official said they are trying to send a signal to the entire ecosystem around bypassing to avoid the risk of dealing with anyone on the sanctions lists. The law, Countering America's Adversaries Through Sanctions Act, or CAATSA, was passed in 2017 after concerns about Russian interference in elections in the United States and Europe. The Treasury also announced new sanctions on Wednesday against a Kyrgyz bank, Karamet Bank. It said the bank was strongly linked to a Russian oligarch with ties to the Russian government and intended to create a sanctions evasion platform for Russia to pay for imports and receive payments for exports. The new lists also include an individual and 15 other entities that have established regional clearing platforms in Russia and China to facilitate cross-border payments for sanctioned goods. These platforms will facilitate cashless mutual settlements.